Evening all. Yeah, I've just come out for an hour or two. Well, an hour or two, probably an hour or so. I've just pulled the bike out of the garage, and I'm going to have a play with the carburetors. I actually started with them already, and I'm a little bit, a little bit scunnered. Um, taking them apart, and one of the vacuum valves has previously been bodged. Somebody's put a little bit of, looks like hot glue or something like that in there. And that comes from there. So there should be four. One, missing two, three, four. And then the vacuum comes off the engine for those. Yeah, and basically just lets them function. And I've got one which won't be sealed because this is missing. So I need to see if I can actually get that back together, take the glue off here, epoxy it back in while I'm waiting on a new body coming. Yeah, I guess I'll have to get a new body for it, which is really annoying. Okay, so actually I started with carb 4, this one, and I decided to make a video because it was so bad. Now this bike was last on the road 1999, 2000, so it's been sitting for 20 years, except for whenever the guy I got it off, he bought it as a project, and then he pretty much did nothing. He put a battery in it and some fuel in it and tried to start it, and that was it. Now I've said before, the Facebook group that I'm in, Kawasaki GPZ600 riders, highly recommended for anybody who's got one of these bikes or wants to get one of these bikes that's thinking about it. Really friendly bunch of guys in there. You put a question up and you'll have an answer back 5 minutes, majority of the time. Really knowledgeable, unbelievably knowledgeable actually, across a whole bunch of the guys. Now one of the guys in there, he was cleaning his carbs last week, and he put a picture up, and I was just like, oh my god, what is that? And he was pretty much in the same boat. I think his bike had been sitting for 10 years, and the fuel basically looked so it turned to jelly. It was just never seen anything like it inside the carbs. And I'll put a picture up for that and show you what he had. And I've done one of them. I've done one of these carbs, and it was really bad. It wasn't as bad as his, but the jets were completely gunked up. The float valve was actually stuck. It was stuck in the tube. Wouldn't move, so therefore there was no allowing the fuel to come in or out, or whatever way it happened to be. It was solidified in there. Took a fair wee bit of cleaning. Got a lend of a friend's ultrasonic cleaner there, ultrasonic bath, so the jets and things go into there and get a little bit of a clean. Got a can of carb cleaner over here. Actually got some brake cleaner as well that, if I'm being honest, I do use just after anything that's sort of semi abrasive in any form or will lift the gunk off. Now, one of the things, just out of interest, to test on the carbs is the slides, and obviously they're going to be getting cleaned and everything. I'll put them all back together nicely, but just to see, I have cleaned number 4, and I've got my compressor and I've got my air supply here. Now in here is where the vacuum goes. This is where the whole vacuum part operates on it, and if I put some air in there, then I'm replicating what actually happens in the engine whenever it's under power, whenever the throttle's open. And I'll do this one. Excuse the noise of the air. You can see the slide going up, and you actually hear it coming back with an audible click. So I've cleaned that one, and to me that's working pretty well. Now on the others, if we do this one, actually sticking, and yeah, I think it's coming back down there very slowly. Number 2 is coming back down, but there's no click. It actually stutters as it gets to the bottom. camera. And number 4.
I cannot put on your bike.
There's actually a small click there, and that's my son asked me for in from the co-op.
Do I?
Okay, if we look at number 3, it doesn't come back. You can see it's still actually coming down smoothly. So it goes up at speed, and that's fine. But whenever it comes back down the last 8mm, 10mm, it slows down and stutters. See the stutter there? Yeah, stutter and come down. Number 4 actually get a little bit of a click as it comes down. Yeah. Basically, number 1 appears to be working perfectly. Number 2 still stuck up. Number 3 stutters for the last 8mm, 10mm whenever it comes down. And number 4 comes down with a little tiny bit of a click, but comes down slower. So whenever we take them all apart, we'll see what happens, see what's inside, give them all a clean, put them back together, put the jets and all the little bits into the ultrasonic bath. And in the ultrasonic bath, whether it's the right way or not, I have half a bottle of vinegar and the rest water. Just try and make it a little bit caustic. I have some neat sulfuric up there, but I don't think I'll use that on this. And I don't have any soda as such. Let's see, everybody's using soda or whatever, so I don't have any of that. But it still works. What I'm doing works. I do some metal detecting, put a coin into the vinegar, whatever it happens to be, cleans it up, takes everything back, so it will work, especially on the brass. I'm going to leave the carbs in the bank. As I actually take them apart, I'm going to do them one at a time. I think I mentioned that before. Do one carb at a time because the jets and the needles are different by carburetor number. Yeah, so first things first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take that off. Whenever you take it off slowly, because there is a spring that's inside, and you will have bits going everywhere if you don't take it off slowly. Now, I don't have a holder or anything like that because I'm not one of the big YouTube channels, so I'm just going to take it apart and then I'll come back on and I'll show you what's inside. Okay, whenever you're taking the carbs apart, have your area. You know, my workbench is never tidy, but it's reasonably tidy here. I've got a baking tray here and toothbrush that's going to be getting used for actually the cleaning, and then I have a little box that all the bits are going to go into. Now, as I said, here is if I lift this up, there's only one inside these. There's only one spring, so that's it off, and put the piece over there, and I'll take the spring out, and if I push from underneath a little bit, break the seal, bring up the slider. Now, got the needle on the slider. Yeah, it's a bit grotty, but that pushes up, so again I have to put the camera down. Now, whenever you take your carb apart, then try and put it back. Let's see if we can get this to focus. There we go. Try and put it back together in the same order. So we can see here, we've got the needle, we've got the little cradle or whatever you would call it. Put that into the box and see how. Can't get it to focus on the needle. But I think you can see there that. God damn it! Yeah, well, it's grotty. You can see it's grotty. There's marks on there. So put that into the bath. That into the bath. Put the spring into the bath. And I'm not quite sure that I'll put this into the bath. I think I'll clean this with the carb cleaner. I really need to get a better camera. God damn it. If I look at the slider, you can see the grease and oil and muck And hopefully those aren't, you can see the lines coming down there, hopefully that's not friction. But I'm going to give this a good clean with the carb cleaner and with the toothbrush. Right, I've given the slider a good bit of a clean. And that is actually clean, believe it or not. But you can see the friction marks down the side there. That's not too hot, but well, if they function, great. So next thing I'm going to do with the carb's off. Take the float bowl off. Take all the jets out, emulsion tubes out, etc, etc. Strip the whole thing down. Take a note of where everything actually comes out of, the order it comes out, and then all those parts into the ultrasonic cleaner. Give them a clean with the carb cleaner. Put them into the ultrasonic cleaner to try and get the rest of it off, and see what happens. There's something else. I'm not sure if I mentioned this the other day, but these carbs, apparently, whenever the GPZ600R came out, they came out without any form of heating in carbs, which is absolutely fine unless you're riding in really cold weather. And Kawasaki did a recall and fitted all the carbs with water heating, and thank you to one of the again from one of the groups, the guys in the group, for that piece of knowledge. So water in, water out, but that one's broke. Another part broke in the body. You can see here there's a hole, which is great, so somebody's done a bypass. Okay, so screws are out, and I've actually broken the seal here, but whenever you take off the float bowl, if you can be gentle with it, because your rubber O-ring, your rubber gasket will actually be fine, and won't need replaced if it's intact. And you can, that one then is actually fine, and you can see the gunk that's in the bottom of this. So again, obviously that will need cleaned. And then we have the jets, main jets, pilot jets. There's the float, and as I say previously, that was seized solid in there. So I'm going to dismantle all of this, and then get it in the cleaner. When you go to take the float out, in here there's a little bar. There's no, it's not a pressure fit. There's no nuts, no clips, no anything. And if you just put something in there, you can see, just push that out, and then, so I'm trying to do this, that just slides out, and again into the bath. Now here, this is the last time, this is where the float should lift out. That's stuck pretty hard. That, like, I'm genuinely pulling here, I'm straining, and that valve is completely solid. I'll change hands. That does not want to come out, so bite a minute. If this happens, you can't be rough. I'm doing my best here, because the height that's at will actually adjust your float height versus the needle valve, which then dictates how much fuel stays inside the bowl. If you get too much fuel in there, then it will overflow to a flood. Be a real pain. So basically, you have to get your, if it was working before, and we'll have to check the float heights at a later point, but I don't want to try and bend anything. It's been really stubborn trying to get it to come out. Okay, that's the needle out, or the float needle, and you can see the front. It's a bit, there's some gunk on it. Yeah, there's actually gunk the whole way around it. Into the bath, give it a clean, and then it came from in here. I don't know if I can, let me see if I can zoom in here. Yeah, well, you can see that's pretty nasty. That won't look like that whenever we're actually finished with the cleaning. Okay, got one of the jets out here. If you look on the side, actually surprises me, because that says it's a 102. and they should be 105s and 108s, and it's from one of the center carbs, which should be a 108. And you can see the amount of gunk on here. I haven't touched this with any cleaner or anything yet. That's just oil and gunk. And there should be a hole through the middle there. You can just see the slightest bit of daylight coming through, but not much. There should be a hole there. Next to come out will be the emulsion tube, and if we look inside that, it's not overly particularly hot either. So that's coming out. Comes out with a spanner, 8mm. Out, and I think you can see the state of that, and I don't think there's a single hole there's actually open. And this hasn't been cleaned yet at all in any form. But every single hole is blocked. Into the path it goes. In here, not that one, this one. In there, you can't see, but in there's actually the pilot jet, so it's coming out next. Just with a little plain head screwdriver. And again, nice and gently with all of this stuff. I would say this one's not so bad because I've got one hole there, but it's literally one hole. Oh no, that's clean. But still pretty gunked up. Bath with it. That is just the first time I've tried to clean out where the float jet was, and that's the gunk in there. So that's part of what was causing it to seize, and I'll keep on going. Everything's out now, and now biggest thing you need, air, and all of the holes, everywhere there's actually a hole, then we need to blow that through. So blow it through with the air. Even though I've cleaned it, there's going to be little tiny bits of grit and grime and stuff in there. So put the air through it. I've put carb cleaner in there. I've cleaned everything off the sides that I can. So put the air through and blow the last bits out. And you can see the residue, the last of the liquid and everything coming out of there. I'm not too sure if that even is one. Hope not, because there's certainly no air coming out of it. And dry it off. And that bowl is actually pretty clean. This is quite hard to hold, but this is the main jet, and we can see here how nice and clean all those holes are now. And there we go. Main jet, the E102. And you remember before you couldn't see through it at all, there was just a wee tiny bit of daylight. Well, look at the difference in that. That's it been in the, still actually looks a bit grubby in there. But that's it been through the, oh, it's had a dose of carb cleaner blasted through it. It's been in the ultrasonic wash. But again, you can see the difference there. I'll maybe keep trying and see if I can get it a little bit better. But what a difference. Here's the pilot jet. It wasn't as bad as the other ones before, but get a focus. There we go. Pretty nice. Okay, there's a float needle. There's a slight wear mark around that. It's not stepped too much, but it's pretty good. And again, if you think about what they were like before, and here's the acid test relay, I suppose. So before I couldn't get this, I couldn't get it out of its chamber. Now actually falls in. Still can't get a focus on the needle, but trust me when I say it's clean, it's smooth. There's no pits, no marks, no wear, nothing. It's pretty good. Parts, that's all the parts cleaned and as they should be. So now it's time to rebuild it, and everything goes back in just in the reverse order of how you actually took it out. And don't put any pressure, you know, nothing goes in tight, it's just, it goes in tight, a little nip, and that's it, that's enough. Put them in reverse order, so first thing, pilot jet. I'll tighten that up in a second, and then the emulsion tube. Just nip that up with the wee 8mm in a second or two. The pilot jet, screw it in. Just a little nip. That'll do. 8mm. A little nip. Jet. Again, just a and then the float tube, or the float itself, and the float needle, but I'll have to do it off camera, it's hard enough on one hand. Back in place, and then just a little bar, and again that just slides in super easy. Doing this one-handed, just pushes in, just ever so slightly with your finger. And that's it. And then the float ball back on. Whenever you're tightening stuff down, never tighten one down fully and then do the others. Do them a bit at a time, and opposite corners. So I've actually started here and went here, 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 and now I'll do here, and that'll nip them all up, and then just go around them and do it that way until you actually get them all tight together. Otherwise, there's a good chance you don't get a good seat on something because you squeeze too hard on one side and then the other side. There's too much stress for it to actually allow it to bed in properly. The diaphragm and slide are actually keyed. You can see here there's slightly more of the circle below the vanes to the side than there are above, so it's keyed. It will actually only go in one way. So the needle and the little carrier are back in place, and the diaphragm. You see videos and they'll tell you different ways to do it, but on these carbs I actually find it easier to set it in and then just very gently with your fingers just bed it in. And then on the underside here there's a lug, and that lug then obviously goes into the center of the spring, and then just press down gently, 4 screws, and you're done. And that's it back together. And if you remember earlier, it wouldn't actually move at all. And now if I use the air, you can actually hear the click as well. Comes down smooth, nicely, and it stops with a click. So to me that's pretty nice. So I'll be doing all 4 like this. There's no point in me showing you guys all 4, but I'll be doing all 4 like this, and then I'll need to check the fuel levels and then I'm going to put them on the bike and see if the bike will actually start before I pull the engine out of the bike. So that'll be the next plan.